There we go.
You back?
Yeah, the last point was from your last big breakup at probably the end of your 20s.
All right. So obviously, like we spoke about, I had that crazy wild end to my 20s after having quite a fruitful and eventful 20-year period. I mean, like 20s from my 20 to 29. And then making a crucial error in judgment towards the end there, where I thought I was doing the right thing, taking back an ex when she said she got pregnant, and obviously telling me that a child was mine. So that was kind of a fork in the road, right? That was one of those forks in the road in life. Like, sometimes it comes down to crucial decisions like that. It can be two directions. I had a decision then I could have looked out for myself and been like, nah, we're not together. We're just hooking up. We're not, I'm not, if you want to keep the child, that's up to you, but I'm not going to be in a relationship with you because we broke up for a reason, because she was toxic, right? Me being good-hearted and wholehearted and being a good guy, I thought I was doing the right thing. And it was a massive, massive critical error of judgment at the time, which really changed the trajectory of my life from that one decision.
What, just from you meaning you just being a good person?
Yeah, because I could have just been savage in the situation. This woman that you're not together with, you're still having sex with, says, "Hey, I'm pregnant." And I could have been savage and be like, well, that's cool, but we're not together. So if you want to keep it, you're going to be doing that on your own, and maybe I'll be involved when the child is born. But you're going to do that journey on your own. We're not in a relationship. We're broken up. I broke up with you for a reason. You're a toxic person. Your values aren't aligned with mine and my future. So yeah, we had sex. We're hooking up, but you're now pregnant. You need to do that. And instead, I thought I was doing the right thing, because at the time I actually had a really nice girl that was wanting to be with me, that we were sort of on and off for a while, and she was a really nice chick and had very good values and morals. I chose the path of the ex and taking her back into my house, into my world, financing the pregnancy, buying the car for her, the cot, having a child is thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars. And again, because of the type of person I was, I bought all the most best pram and cot and baby carrier and put her in an Audi and all these things, because I thought that this was my child that she was carrying. To then fast forward a little bit, we have the baby. I think I went into the fact that then she went behind my back and did a DNA test 7 months after the birth, to me finding out this child wasn't mine. And that was when it all began, of severe trauma and trust issues with women,
But if that happened to anybody, like, fuck, the first thing, you'd just be seeing red. You wouldn't be able to really, you'd just be reacting off emotion, really. I couldn't really see any normal human being taking that easily.
No, and then to top it off, this crazy sick individual knew I had quite a bit of money in the property that I'd bought when I was 20, that we spoke about earlier in the podcast. So I had equity, quite a lot of money there. And she has the nerve, while I was over in LA, when I flew to LA to hang out, to clear my head, I'm getting emails from lawyers saying, she's got an interest on your property. This woman now has completely lied to me, knows that I've lost a relationship. I've lost a fucking son that actually had my last name on a birth certificate. And she was that much of a piece of shit that then she's saying that she wants to be paid out from my assets. Lucky enough for me, we got a barrister involved and sort of squashed that pretty quick. But that's what then spooked me about owning a home anymore, because 2 times now I'd had that situation happen where the first girl, I had to give her furniture, money, not much, to her to not go any interest on the property. And then this is what spooked me about real estate ownership and de facto relationships, was that these people can come into your life, and even like that, an extreme situation, completely like, fuck, like, you fucked me over emotionally, financially, so hard, and then you still believe that you have worthiness to my wealth. So at the time, that's when I quickly sold the property. I was going to actually rent it and just keep it. And I sold the property, took the cash, grabbed the cash. So, if we did go down that path, then there was, I had things in place to protect myself.
Is there ways around that? Like,
yes, yeah.
Like even just, I'm not 100% sure with it, but like even just like having it, can they take money from your business?
So,
or is it only your personal money?
No, they can take money from your business. They can take money from anything that's in your name.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Without going into it too much, because this is then a business discussion and asset protection discussion and legalities. This is the thing that frustrates you again. As we go to school for 12 years, no one ever spoke about asset protection, protecting yourself against litigation, because if you just like got a job and whatever, it's not as bad. You don't. But if you once you start owning property and building some kind of wealth, you're open to litigation. Anything in your name, like say someone gets hurt and I don't know, something happens and you hit them in your car, or something happens on the street, or who knows, right? Pretty much anyone can come at you and sue you for anything that's in your personal name, and they can put a thing called a caveat, and it's an interest on your assets, and you can't sell that until that interest is proven why there's an interest on that asset or property. So without going into that too much, again, it's a whole nother discussion, but leading on from that, this has happened, this has spooked me, I've sold the property, I now have all this liquid in my hand, which is cash, which was quite a lot of money for being 29, 30 years old, which helped me at the time because it gave me the ability to not work for 2 years. I never had a job again for 2 years, and I literally just disconnected from the normal world of work and reality, and it allowed me to, I'd already been traveling the world, but then I really started being able to travel and going away for like 6 weeks, 8 weeks at a time, where I'd go to Canada and I'd just hire this amazing car, and I'd stay in these amazing places. And, I definitely blew a lot of money in a short amount of time, but do you call it blowing it or do you call it experiences? Obviously now I'm a bit older, I could have done a lot with that money. It was a lot of cash. But it helped me recover and get through a time that was just like, fuck, how do you even deal with that?
Yeah. I think you just did what you needed to do, man. And you're still young, so you can't really regret things like that. Like you'll have those memories for the rest of your life, dude. And as you know, right now, you've got the mindset and the drive to get what you want to get yours. So I wouldn't be stressing about that. Like you said before, when we last spoke, that you reckon in the next 2 years that you're going to have what you want in your life. So you know that you can get it. So spending that money, having all those good times, it's definitely nothing to be regretful.
Yeah, and by doing that, it's given me relationships and experiences for life. You know what I mean? So you're only on.
I'm sure it definitely helped you heal too.
Yeah, and it gave me time to just do me and definitely heal, because I always thought that. I was like, God, if I kept that house and had a mortgage and stuff, you've got to continue to pay the bank, which means I had to work at that time, and I just didn't have the mental capacity to work. I just thought, I was just like, fuck the world and fuck everything, and I'm just going to do what I want to do, And that money gave me the ability to continue to live the lifestyle I was used to through my whole 20s, because obviously I had all that cash like we used to speak about with my businesses and working. So it allowed me to still live at that lifestyle, but I didn't have to go to work or the mines. So
do you think that after this relationship, it completely is a pivotal point in your life where your mindset changed?
it was definitely a pivotal point in a lot of positives, a lot of negatives at the time, but a lot of positives, because some people never look at themselves, man, and never reflect. And I went through a huge development period where I got involved in another business called Isogenics, which I'm still involved with. And that took me on a journey when I was coming back from LA on that 6-week trip, and my life was falling apart. I met a couple that were amazing and my very close friends now, and they introduced me to a multi-level marketing business called Isogenics, which is health and wellness. And it took me on a journey during that 2 years as well, where I was going to conferences and personal development events all around the world. And that allowed me to tap into mindset, law of attraction, put me around some really positive people that were trying to get after it with their finances, and they're living that freedom lifestyle of traveling the world and not having to work. And so it all aligned for me at that time. And that really helped with my recovery of being around those people that was super positive. They were doing something for their health, doing something for their future, doing something for their finances as well. So it was kind of like all those pillars. So that was we're on another journey again about that.
Well, that just would have been just super exciting just to be around people like that.
That was perfect timing, and the gods are looking out for good people, right? And you got to think, like, I was flying back. I did 6 weeks in the States. I had a blast, but I hadn't dealt with even any of the reality that I had lost a child in a relationship, and like I had a fucking child, and then I didn't. You know what I mean? Like I had a son, and coming back from that trip, like obviously reality was about to hit hard. And meeting that couple was meant to be. They sat next to me on the plane and introduced me to what they were involved with, which then took me on this spiritual journey and development journey. And it allowed me to, like I said, I was going to events in America. I'd fly, which I was obviously
so
already
what
loved.
actually, do you want to just explain what actually happened? What you were on the plane home from America, and you met some people.
I was coming home on the red eye flight. Obviously, my life was destroyed back in Australia. I'd run away from what I was dealing with, because after I found out, I kind of kicked her out, and I jumped on a plane 7 days later straight to the States, and I did 6 weeks in America, just fucking and like just doing crazy shit, man. And my friends, obviously, again, because I have that network there, I was in the clubs, in the DJ booths. I was like, living like fucking king, and I had all these incredible women, and I thought I was dealing with it, I was dealing with it who knows how to deal with that at that time. I was just doing my best, right? So coming home on the red eye flight, the reality starts kicking in, sit next to this couple, and then, they're trying to find people to join their business to make them make more money, obviously. And they pitched what they were doing, and at the time they were making $3,500 a week in the hand. They were just a normal mum and dad. I was already a business entrepreneurial person. I thought, well, how the fuck are you making $3,500? Because you're just a normal mum and a dad. You're not, you're not over the top with your sales pitch and all these things. Long story short, I said, let's meet on the Gold Coast when I get back. You show me that going into your bank account every week, and I'll sign up to whatever you're doing. Met them when I got back after jet lag. They showed me that they were getting $3,500 US deposited into their bank account every Tuesday morning, and they weren't working. They were traveling. So I was like, this is everything I'm involved with. And it was a health product of, protein powders and vitamins and things I take every day for the last 10 years before that anyway. So it was aligned with what I did with fitness and health. So then that journey began with that. And I pretty much was able to go to Sydney, Melbourne, New Zealand, America 3 times, and traveled the world and introduced people all around the world to the product and to the business. And that helped me a lot through my healing journey, because obviously there's a lot of personal development, a lot of.
So how exactly were they getting the money from before you met them?
So they were involved in the business. I'm not sure if it was about 12 months or 24 months. So They were getting that amount of money through, they'd done the work and they'd showed a lot of other people, like they'd introduced me, and they were building teams. So it's basically like building a business, and then you get paid sales commission on all your team on how much volume they sell, and then it exponentially just grows, and it can grow like a wildfire. And at that stage, the business was going through a major growth period in Australia. It was a new thing, and towards the end, they were starting to make, when I was involved with it, they were making $20,000 a week some weeks. So it was a huge,
Jesus.
crazy.
You just seem to fall in the laps of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, I think that's that frequency, man. I put that, because you got to imagine that for them, they're looking for guns like myself, which, we call them the ace. I'm like the 1%er in the crowd that if you sat next to me, law of attraction, I needed them at that time, probably more than they needed me. But then they sit there and they're like, oh, who are you? And what are you doing come back from America? And my story is, I'm just coming back. Didn't tell them about what had happened with the kid and stuff. But I was like, my story is true. I'm like, I used to live here. I ran a business where I was exporting Harleys, boats, jet skis, and I've got all these friends here, and I'm coming here. I spent 6 weeks here hanging out and going to their nightclubs and doing all this stuff. Like, anyone says that, and you'd be like, shit, that's a pretty interesting dude, man. You're only, 29, 30 years old, and you ran a company here, and you lived here, and you did all these things. And yeah, it's an interesting story. So they then connected with that and was wanting to involve me in their business venture and offer me an opportunity to invest in it. And the thing is, most people always think, oh, it's a scam. This is where humans are just so small-minded, right? And I shouldn't blanket rule everyone with that. But most people, like, someone talks to them about an opportunity, they're like, oh, they're just trying to scam me. They don't want to hear it. They don't realize, like, even if it is a scam, you listen to the scam. Because you fucking never know that you could be one opportunity from saying yes to something to be a multi-millionaire. So I've known that from a young age. I never say no, and I always listen. Most of the time I pick up scammers pretty quick because I know about money and I've got money, so I'm not fucking stupid, So, but like this opportunity, most people would say, oh, that's a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme, whatever. It's like, but it's just stupid. You at least go and listen. And the reason why I actually invested in it was $600 to buy the product, but I could eat all the product and get my money back if I thought it was shit. So I'm like, if you understand investing, it's like most investments, you can't get your money back. Like,
yeah, you don't get anything in return.
You don't get an option. You just have to invest in it, and either you're going to get ripped off or it's going to work, right? So to me, I'm like, I already eat all that stuff. $600 end of the month, I'm like, oh, that was shit product. I didn't get a result. Well, I'll get my money back. So to me, it was a no-brainer. So I said yes to it, right? And now I've been eating that stuff for now going on 8 years. But anyway, it's we go on from that.
So what did you have to actually do in that business?
So your job.
Or did you just invest and that was it?
No. The investment is you trying the product, and then to grow the business, you need to introduce other people and explain to them about the product, and then they find other people to take it, and then everyone, like myself, how I've taken it for 8 years. Like my people that introduced me have been paid from me for 8 years from the company because they get a percentage of the sales. So it's basically, instead of them having to pay for marketing and putting it on billboards and TVs, and like how my company, I pay for Facebook ads every week, they use word of mouth marketing. Like how now I'm telling you, say you enrolled in that, then I would get a percentage of that sale from every time you buy it, forever and a day. And every time you then send to someone else because I showed you the product, then I'd get a percentage of that as well. So it's a binary structure system.
Yeah.
So then
they're at the top of the thing, and they get a little bit of everybody.
It's just like a business structure. Like me, I'm the boss. I have workers, and I skim off everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same as a structure of a business. There's somebody that owns the company, and then there's employees and there's managers, and it's exactly the same, and everyone's getting paid.
Do you think it's easier to sell things or have a service?
Depends on the product. It depends on what somebody wants. Sales is a lot about finding what somebody needs, not what somebody wants. You know what I mean? Or what you want them to have. I've been recording some of my sales calls, which I'll share with people, just to show them the techniques. Like I did I recorded a couple today actually, because a few of my friends have been asking for me to send them so they can listen in to learn sales. But it's a skill. It's definitely a skill. You know, like my inquiries come in for my business, and they're coming to me, but the way I call them isn't a technique. There's a technique to it. You know, I pretend I don't really know what they want, but I actually know what they want because they've inquired about that. I let them tell me the story, right? And then I find the gaps where I jump in and I connect with them on a human level. But anyway, what's that?
It just went on hold for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So anyway, we did that for a few years, and that was till then. I pretty much was I burnt through a lot of money in the couple of years of traveling and doing all that with that, and I was earning a bit of money from that. But again, I was staying, and you know, every time I traveled, I was flying at the front of the plane and staying in suites in Vegas. And
have you ever really sort of dealt with the thing with the kid, with your boy, or what you thought was your boy?
Probably being ego driven, I didn't think I needed to go and talk to a professional. That's come now. We'll probably talk about later in this, but I probably should have dealt with that and talked to a professional and unpacked that, because I kind of thought I dealt with it. Like, I thought I was strong and I dealt with it by traveling and doing other businesses and, you know, having women around me that were interested in me and whatever, but definitely
distracting yourself instead.
Exactly. I never sat with it, I don't think. No, that's a shit word, because I fucking sat with it. I fucking sat with it and looked at it, and I was fucking devastated. You know what I mean? It shattered me. But whether I ever dealt with the true trauma that it's done to me, I don't think so. No, it's definitely carried along with me, which probably has affected some of my intimate relationships with women since that, because of the trust issues I have around money and them doing the wrong thing and lying and cheating and whatnot, you know, and just coming into
as well. You're gonna have to tell your partners now, like, about that situation, just so they know now that, you know what I mean? Like, in case you do something like a bit strange, that they know that it's because of that.
For sure, that there's major wound and triggers there, you know, but I'm doing a lot of work now on actually writing down what I want and what I expect and trying to then be that myself. So I just mirror it, right? So then, true believer in the next partner, I'm not going to attract any of those things that I attracted before, which are these girls with severe trauma and abandonment issues, and this whole me trying to help them and heal them and carry them and all this bullshit that I've always done, and being like, you know what, well, I ain't fucking letting no woman into my life unless she brings value financially and emotionally, that she's secure in those areas, and she comes from a family that's like still good, still maybe together, that she doesn't have these dad issues and all this bullshit that some women carry into their intimate relationships with men, and then they trauma when something happens, they get triggered and they just do this crazy severe behavior, which is just fucking toxic and it's dangerous, you know. And I've experienced that a few times now, and it's you know, all good if you're in your early 20s, but you start getting into my age, man, it's like my last relationship, and it really frustrates me that, you know, my ex is now 36 and still carrying this bullshit and affecting people's lives on a massive level, and having no empathy about that, and just not dealing with their shit, you know, because nobody deserves that. Like, at this age, it's like me, I got to fix my shit before I meet another chick. So it's not her problem, it's my problem.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Yeah, moving on from that, what you doing this nutrition thing, or like the powders and all that? Did that end, or?
No, it never ended. I just I just was I went into live in the States for a while, and then I came back, and then I was kind of starting to burn through a lot of the cash, and obviously from living that lifestyle, and then I had to fall back onto, for a period of time, my my dual trade electrical instrumentation. So because I had worked in the mines for 5 years, I could get a very high level job very easy, because I was highly skilled in that area. So I was able to come back, and I sort of needed to grab a quick sort of 50 grand So I went and got a job up at Gladstone working on the liquefied natural gas plant that ships gas all around the world. And I got on a commissioning job there, which means the final stages where you do all the technical testing and checking and things that it's going to work. And that was a fucking 4-on-1 roster, meaning 4 weeks on, 1 week off. Fly in, fly out, Brisbane to Gladstone. We got every Sunday off, but that was a $250,000 a year job, $250,000. So I had a plan to just do a couple of swings, grab 50,000. Once I had 50,000 back in my pocket, I was going to quit. So I did 3 months, I think it was, and I was flying back. I'd finish it Saturday on a 2, and I'd get the last flight out for the night. I'd fly to Brisbane for the night just to fucking go and hook up with a chick or something, or see my mates, and fly back Sunday afternoon, just so I had some sanity.
Well, was that big hour? They're obviously probably 12-hour days.
Yeah, 12-hour days, yeah. So after I hadn't worked for 2 years and I was traveling the world, that was a bit of a slap in the face. That sucked dick. That was shit.
Yeah, I could imagine. Oh, at any time for any person, like, fuck.
But because of the type of person I am, man, I made the most of it. Like, no one was like, oh, well, I'm going to spend $500 to fly back to Brisbane for the night. But to me, you're making $3,500-4,000 a week. It's like, for my sanity and to be not like lose my mind, to fly back and just have some normality. Like, who gives a shit? It was a 40-minute flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then I was doing other things, like I'd hire a car and go and stay at the Backpackers at 1770s, which was like a paradise place an hour down the road, and do that on a Saturday night with one of the boys and go swimming and hanging out and fishing. Like, it's all about mindset, and you just make the most of a shit situation. If it's shit, you work out how to make it better. And I was always like that. Even when I worked in the mines, and life's like that. You kind of look at situations. It's always going to be something you hate and shit, but you can always turn the dials and make it work for you,
Yeah, 100%.
So I did that for like 3 months. Then I happened to come back to Australia, come back to Brisbane. I quit that. I got that 50 grand, like I said, that I wanted to get, so I could keep floating for a bit longer. And then I was hanging out with a friend whose family owns a real estate company, and she got talking about how they had electricians or companies that they were using that looked after like 1,000 properties, and they weren't doing the right thing. They were like not turning up. They were doing shit work. And I'm like, like in my head, entrepreneur, business mind, because I was never going to start my own electrical company ever, because it's just I'm not passionate about it. And I just was like, how, so you're telling me you give them a contract of guaranteed work and money basically, and they do the wrong thing and they fuck you around? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, we do understand I'm an electrician. I'll start a company and employ people tomorrow, and just start giving me some jobs, and I'll set up a whole business and take that over if they, because to me, if you're going to give that much work guaranteed, like, I don't understand why someone wouldn't be able to do that and handle that. So that's when the next start of my life, big change happened, was I started a company pretty much like the next week, and started getting jobs sent to me from that company to do maintenance on all these properties. And quite quickly, because I'd already owned multiple companies and I had business skill, and I also was a really good electrician, they realized quite quickly that I was a lot more dominant than the people they were employing on the level of service I offered, and how efficient I was and how much good feedback they were getting. So they tested me out by giving a handful of jobs, and then I pretty much took that contract completely within like 3 or 4 weeks. I took that whole contract off those other companies.
Jesus.
So then that's
what was it, a 12-month contract?
No contract. Just, contract by, I was only getting, say, 20-30% of the jobs, to like I was getting 100% of the work. Meaning that I had like 800 properties that my company was managing within a month's period, like from no company to managing an entire, section of properties of,
How many employees did you need to do that?
I was able to manage it in the beginning on my own, because the jobs are quite small. You can get in it. I could do like 5 jobs a day, because they were small and I was pretty efficient. But then as it started getting pretty bigger, then I started employing contractors, and bringing them in. So I had sort of like 2 guys in the beginning, me and 2 guys. and I'd just bring them in on the bigger jobs. But then I was managing all the small stuff myself, all the back end, all the quoting, all the invoicing, all the work, all the scheduling. I was doing it all myself. So then that contract went for a couple of years, but I started finding gaps and holes in what I didn't like about it. I didn't like about the way that they felt like they owned you, the property managers. So not the people who own the company, but the people they employ are very uneducated. They don't know about business. They don't understand that, it's not right to not pay someone for fucking 30 days and 60 days because they make mistakes of not telling the landlords of how much money was owed, or they do things like paying money for the rates and things that the landlord owes out of the thing called a trust, which then that's where the money comes from to pay the tradies. So then you kind of start scaling that on multiple properties, and you're owed tens of thousands of dollars, and they're like, there's no money there, and you're constantly chasing that. That started to really piss me off. So again, being the business-minded person I was, I started to analyze that and be like, that isn't really working for what I want, and I'm not going to have anyone think they own me, because that's the only contract we had at the time was that. Plus all my network then knew I did electrical, and we were very busy. We were getting very busy and very big very quick. So then I knew that the solar and renewable energy market was starting to really take off, and that was going to be the future. I already knew that well in advance that solar, storing energy and charging electric cars was going to be the future of energy. So I took myself back to TAFE and college. Did I just hang up? Where are you? There you are. Sorry, thought I hung up. So I knew that the future was going to be around renewable energies in my trade. So I went back to college and skilled myself up, spent a lot of money and upskilled myself into that field. And then I started shifting quite quickly towards that avenue of work. And then...
Are you playing with something?
Yeah, can you hear it tapping?
Yeah.
So that was like the next direction of the business, which then was a whole nother field. We started really branding ourselves then and advertising. So before then, I never had to advertise. I was booked out. I didn't have to advertise for 2 years. In the beginning of the first 2 years of the business, I just was so busy. We were only being able to handle that amount of work without advertising. As I learned that
is this after you've gone to TAFE and you've started?
Yeah, well, I was doing that
solar.
while we still had the real estate contract, but I knew that I was going to leave them. They just didn't know that I was going to shift from them, because I didn't want them to have that much power over my business anymore and over myself. I wanted independence. The way you get independence is by you don't have anyone in between you and the money. So a lot of people don't want to do client to client, where meaning most electricians, plumbers, whatever trade, a lot of them work for builders and nobody even knows who the fuck they are. There's no branding on their cars. They've got no websites. They roll around like, if they lose that contract, they're done. You know what I mean? So
you went on hold. What'd you say?
I was saying about that most people work for builders and these sort of contracts, and they never brand themselves and they never branch out, and basically they put themselves at risk. And because as soon as they lose that contract, their business is done, because nobody even knows they exist, because there's no branding on their vehicles, there's no websites, there's no one knows who they are. You know? So I understood that again from owning companies earlier on in my life about branding, marketing. And then that's when I started shifting in towards digital marketing in the business, where we were starting to create ad campaigns from some of the work we're doing. We're doing video campaigns and then putting it on Facebook. And then that's what really, really 10x'd my business when I entered the digital space, because we were able to then drop wherever I wanted the business to be seen, wherever I wanted to work, we could just target those areas. And then that's when we started to really, really ramp up.
So what exactly were you doing? Did someone teach you this, or did you go back to school to learn this? Or
no, I came back. If you remember the story of when I was buying stuff in the trading post and selling hundreds of items for years, like I had to make an ad and put a picture up. So I had to take photos. I had to do the ad copy, meaning I had to type, like, because you'd have to text it into the, or not even text it actually. Shit, it's this long ago. You had to pick up the phone and call the paper and say and write. You'd have to write it on a little piece of paper and then ring them and say, this year model CR250 Honda, 2-stroke, brand new fresh tires with the nipples on it, fresh sticker kit, fresh paint, low hour bike, clean as, very good condition, 1,500 ONO only offer. I'm just rattling off one of the ads. So I did that hundreds of times. So I never knew this was going to happen in my later life, but that's why now I can do my own marketing and things, because I know how to word things. I know how to write things to then connect with humans, because I've done it so many fucking times.
Yeah, you just unconsciously self-taught yourself over all these years.
Self-taught, man, 100%. And then not only that, it self-taught me how to. These people would ring me about these items hundreds of times over. So I then had to communicate on the phone, had to then convince them to come to the property to look at the car, the bike, the boat, the whatever. And then I had to convince them to give me thousands of dollars on something I might have bought yesterday.
Yeah.
So all those things.
You obviously got the gift of the gab when it comes to talking to people.
For sure. Like it took a long time to understand that, right? And use that to my power. I just kind of unconsciously is a good word, right? Because I used it unconsciously without knowing until probably now, like realizing, holy shit, like that's not normal. That's not normal to be able to do those things. And it's not normal to be 27 and exporting from America to Australia with these things. Like, it's not normal to fly to LA and meet some random guy with a heap of cash and buy all this shit. Like, it's not normal behavior for a 27-year-old, I was well on my way, but what always fucking threw me is these women. I fucking have had so much greatness in me with money and business and entrepreneurship, and then I would allow women into my life that only brought fun and looks and sex, which you were kind of taught that that's what it was meant to be. Like, I was supposed to be jacked up, rich, with cash, and have the hottest girl in the room, and I just followed that plan.
Yeah.
But it's what actually has affected my, like, being like right now I could be fucking 100 times wealthier, is the ability of letting people into my world and probably being a little bit too much splash cash, you know what I mean? But do you regret it? Do you not? I don't know. It's part of the journey, right? It's part of this story.
You've got to learn. You can't just know these things just out of your ass, man. Like, you got to go through these things. And like you said, you just can't be perfect the first time. Like, if you don't go through these hard things, you won't learn.
No, 100%. So if we go back to that, obviously, wind back a little bit, all that stuff happened with the chick. I had to sell my house. My stuff was then back at my parents'. When I had 2 years not working, I then went to the mines. I then started this business that exploded quite quickly. I started, obviously then I started stacking some real money again. I was getting ahead pretty quickly financially. I then moved into a waterfront property that was fucking massive. It was an estate basically. That was on like half an acre on the waterfront, fully gated. Just moved in on my own, 6-bedroom place, 4 bath, like just massive house. So I started to get my identity back, which was this guy that was wealthy, successful, fucking, had all these toys and shit lying around, had heaps of cash, no debt. I was getting strong again in my own vision of what's strong, which is independence financially, security, direction, and purpose, So I didn't date. I didn't physically tell a girl, you're my girl and I'm not seeing anyone else, for 4 years after that shit with that toxic bitch and the kid. That's where I was damaged, right? I just was like, fuck that. I'm going to make heaps of money. I'm going to do me. And I just had girlfriends. I had girls and I had some incredible girls in my life that any man would probably die to fucking be with them or have the opportunity to even, have them be into, and I was just damaged. I didn't want to commit. So I had a lot of amazing girls come in my life in that 4 years. And I still, always have a piece in my heart for those women because they were great. It was just me. I had issues, right, that I didn't deal with. And I just wasn't ready. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready. So then fast track.
Seems like all the ones that got away, you weren't sort of ready, and then all the ones you brung in were the wrong ones.
Yeah, it's always the good ones that are good to you that for some reason, when you got this fucked up thing, like the ones that were good, like I wouldn't commit to, and then the ones that were shit, like because they were more fun and more kind of kept you on your toes because I was that type of ego-driven guy. Like I let them in. Yet I've had fucking women that are incredible. They're trustworthy. They're honest. They're attractive. They're successful. And they're too fucking like too easy. I suppose they weren't challenging me enough emotionally and all that, which is fucking stupid.
Well, it's just like if you take a stripper for example, like they just know exactly what to say, and I'm sure like these women would know they might not have much value, but they know exactly what to say to you to keep you in like coming back.
And like when you learn about this, it's basically called mirroring what you want, and they're professionals. They're basically narcissistic people that know that, hey, they're onto something good, and they can basically mirror what you are at that time. Because the thing is in the beginning of intimate relationships, like the girl has a bit of power, but the guy sort of has the power if she wants to be with him, if he's successful, whatever, attractive, and she's into him. It's once you start thinking with the heart and not the dick anymore, that's when you're in trouble as a guy, because then you start emotionally making decisions instead of rationally. And that's what I found. Once I love a girl, or I'm fucked. Like they can do crazy shit, and I keep them around when I should have, fucking basically just bounced them like from the first crazy behavior.
Well, it goes both ways, man. It's just you just haven't found a woman that's got equal or if not more value than you. So you always feel
and that's it. And I've allowed lower vibrational women that should have never entered my world, and we're sort of entering into the last relationship of how I built myself back up financially, emotionally. I was getting super strong again, super strong emotionally, financially. I was living an incredible life. I had an amazing place where I was living. I was starting to travel the world again. The business was flourishing. I was doing well, Then I met a girl, and that was the first girl I committed to, and she was great, super beautiful, very attractive. She, worked hard, had a good job, earned her own money, contributed, all those things. But, then she had trauma around her childhood, which I won't go into again, but some stuff that happened that she hadn't dealt with. And she would have problems with alcohol and Xanax and things, which you don't know in the beginning. And when she would drink, she'd just act a certain way. And I was like, fuck, I'm a high level male. I'm like, that's just that sort of fucking behavior, being drunk and being trashy. That's just that's fucking turn off for me, man. Especially at this stage, I'm 34 years old. I'm not going to tolerate that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to go out and have that girl that's the drunk fucking slutty bitch. Like, no way.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even talk about them like that. I apologize. But, that girl that acts I'd call it a different way, that acts trashy. You know what I mean? Like, I walk in a club, I'm well dressed, I act a certain way. Even when I'm wasted and doing drugs and whatever, I don't change as a person. I'm the same, and I don't. There's no way my girl's going to be that one that you've what the fuck,
Yeah, just full sloppy.
Yeah, sloppy, and everyone's sort of looking at them, and they're attractive. And it's just embarrassing, and having to tell them to cut them off the bottle, that's not your fucking. Yeah. Anyway, so then we living in that nice house, life's great. We're sort of skipping some stuff, but we'll speed it up a bit. Seeing this chick, things didn't work out there because things weren't aligned. I then broke it off with her, and then that was coming into 2019, and that was my best year I've had since all that thing happened with the kid. 2019, I was very financially set up. The business was running quite efficiently then with the marketing campaign. We're on automation. I had good crew working for me that were paid at a good rate. I had really healthy margins in the business. I was making a lot of profit. I was living an incredible life. I didn't have to.
How did you go about finding workers and finding the right workers? Did you go through many people?
Yeah, definitely. So because I was already a Sparky myself, I could lean on the industry a little bit, lean on
And how are you
friends.
finding people as well?
How was I finding them?
Yeah.
Like leaning on my network of people that were in the industry. Hey, do you know any subcontractors that need work? Just also, actually, yeah, thinking about that. When I went to my training courses in TAFE, I would prospect there. So I'd watch who were the guns in the room, and I'd hit them up, offer them a job. So I would take my competitors' workers from the training courses. So when I'd
And
go,
how would you do that?
just by offering them better incentives. How much money are you making? What do you get offered? Where are you working? How are they treating you? And you'd pick up the gaps of, because these people, workers, always whinge and bitch, right? They'll tell you what their problems are, and you just need to say, a lot of them might have been on 45 an hour. I was like, well, I'll give you 50, like $5 an increase, shit like that. You know what I mean? And more flexibility. You just got to listen to humans, and they'll tell you what they want. You just got to be able to pick up on it and fill that need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd find workers that way. Then the issue I had was I was growing so quick that I was struggling to fill the because workers would turn over and you'd have to get rid of people and stuff. That I was finding it hard to keep up with the amount of people I needed. So then I started to try and advertise on Seek, and it was just dog shit, and it was like $1,000, biggest waste of money. So at this stage, I was running my own Facebook ads. I sort of jumped a bit on the marketing, but I'll go into that now. I was running marketing campaigns, and I was doing them myself for the business. So I thought, you know what, I'll just make a fucking ad for workers. I'll make my own Facebook ad. And I couldn't find anyone at this stage using Seek and word of mouth. I needed a lot more people to get through the volume of work. So I just made a Facebook ad, and I dropped it everywhere I needed workers for building teams to cover the large volume of area the company covered. And within 2 weeks, I had 50 applicants of qualified guys. So by me using...
Where exactly were you putting the ads?
So obviously we cover 200-kilometer radius in Brisbane and Gold Coast. Well, at that time it was just Brisbane. So I pinned them in the so if you look at it as a compass, south, east, and west. So I wanted to build teams in each zones and give them I'd give them a zone, you know what I mean? And be like, okay, the north side crew looks after everything on the other side of the gateway. The west side crew looks after everything west side, east, and south.
How did you, if you can't be there and you've got all these things that fucking 100 kilometers are away, how are you keeping control of it, making sure everything's going smoothly?
So by employing contractors, they're not staff. They're physical guys that own their own business. So these aren't workers. These are guys that have a truck that's fully decked out. They have all the licenses, all the insurances. They're running their own electrical business. So you're
just getting them to work.
They're held accountable. So these are business owners. So you're dealing at a different level, which I had to still filter through the applicants to find the top guns, and they get paid extremely well, probably better than they'd even make themselves. But by putting them under contracts as well on what the expectation is, then holds them accountable to how they perform. Because at the end of the day, they're actually representing me. When they turn up, people think it's Priority Electrical, not fucking Joe Blow or whoever these guys are with their turning up in different shirts and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of quality control, but the benefit you have is if these guys don't do the right thing, you don't pay their invoice until they go back and fix it. So if a customer's like, hey, did a shit job, I get photos, I send it to them, shit job, go and fix it. And they don't get paid unless they fix it. Or if they keep making mistakes, they're not a full-time employee. You haven't got to do all this bullshit of written warnings and giving them an excuse why you got to fire them. It's basically, hey, it's not working out. There's no more work, but there is work.
Yeah. Interesting. But then, obviously, you've got all this work coming in, and finding workers isn't always easy though, especially
trade qualified, man.
There's constantly people fucking looking for people.
Yeah, but they're looking in the wrong places. Nobody runs a Facebook ad. This just comes down to, again, being out. You've got to always think outside the fucking box, man. You've got to think outside the box constantly. So then let's fast forward. 2019's the best year yet. Everything's dialed. Got rid of that fucking I shouldn't say got rid of. We broke up. It didn't work out. That year I was able to go to New Zealand. I went to I think I went back to California as well. Yeah, I did. I went back to California, had a fucking great time. Did summer there. Went to do, because as I used to say in the last part one, I go overseas every New Year's. So this is just before COVID. 2019 I flew to Tokyo and I did Tokyo and Niseko for New Year's. 2019, 2020. So life's fucking amazing. Everything's like, business is doing the best it's done. I've got it dialed in. I was out like that. Like, I'm running a full-time company and I'm able to go travel for weeks on end. It's the dream. Like, I'm fucking living the dream. I had no debt, heaps of cash. Business was killing it. I'm traveling. I had no stress.
How much of, like, since you're saying you contracting to actual contractors that have their own business, they're obviously expecting to take a large margin of it. So
100%.
were you just taking small parts of lots of different companies?
You just do volume. So it's just like how a builder does it. He's having to skim on everyone in the building, you know what I mean? So it's basically, you've got to pay these guys very well or they won't turn up, right? But by paying people extremely well, what sort of quality do you think you get? You know?
Yeah, good.
So instead of focusing on being greedy, you pay well and you expect well and you get that in return. So that's affected my business model a lot with my margins and things like that. Because before, I used to have guys working direct for me. I had like apprentice, a labourer, and one contractor that was on an hourly rate, which that's why I made a shitload more money. But at the same time, I had to try and find them every day. I had to try and book those guys' work. Like, the benefit I have now is the industry's seasonal. Fuck, man. Some weeks you've got work, but you're not 5-6 days a week. You know, you might be solid 2-3 days a week, but cranking like a motherfucker, you know? So gives me freedom in my life to be able to not be stressed, constantly trying to pay other guys and fill the books. It's like, when these guys are contracts, like, oh yeah, I've got 2 days for you next week, but I don't have to be like, I got to give these guys 5 days. So I get to sleep at night, not worrying about having to pay other people. It works in both ways.
Yeah.
So then 2019 happened, and then obviously landing fucking back mid-January 2020, COVID shit started getting mentioned, right? It was very early in the piece. And that's when I got back, you know, was wanting to hook up with some girls, whatever. Started prospecting, as you do in that situation. Connected with a certain girl through the Isogenics thing. She got shared on one of the millionaires' pages, and I messaged her. We caught up, really hit it off, really connected, which is hard to find. This was in January 2020 for Australia Day. So then this girl, I said, hey, I'm having a party at my fucking waterfront mansion on Australia Day. Come along. And she come along. She actually brought her kid to the date. I wasn't thinking anything past fun and sex. I didn't think, you know, because I'd already had this kid situation 8 years before. There's no way I was even thinking anything fucking past some girl that was attractive, fun, and we connected, right? Silly me. This is where again. So here's this man, me, 30 fucking, how old was I then? 34, I think. And my life's set up, you know. I had a successful company. I was living in this huge home. I had all these fucking toys and whatnot. Life was good. And I meet someone who's a single mother with a breastfeeding child. And I just was thinking with fun and sex and whatever, and not realizing that obviously her being desperate, single mother, no money, which I didn't know at the time, comes to my house the next day after I meet her and would have been like, dear God, I've hit the fucking jackpot. This guy is successful. He doesn't have children. He hasn't been married. He lives in this house. He owns a business. He's charismatic. He's fun. He's all these things to her as a woman who's looking for security, dependency, all these things they look for. She did the mirroring thing, right? Mirroring to the T, everything, the golden girl. Yeah.
How does this not go through your head at that stage? Like, what was your frame of mind? Because, like, obviously, was she lying to you about certain things, like her financial situation and her mental state?
100%. She was lying completely about how well she was doing financially, and she was zeros. She was running on fumes, you know what I mean? Which I didn't really sense or see. I did to a degree, but you don't, yeah. It's, again, I was just living in the moment, and I had a companion, I had someone to go hiking with and fun, and she was shipping the kid off she kept the kid away and I didn't even think of that. I'm like, she's got a baby. Where's the baby? You know what I mean? But she was like doing things so I didn't have to deal with that too much. Because obviously if you even dealt with that for 2 seconds, you would have been like, fuck this, I'm out of here. This is shit. 12-month-old kid crying, carrying on, you know what I mean? Like, hey, man, you see, it still fucking upsets me even thinking about it. It's just, it fucking is retarded. It's actually, for someone so educated and smart on so many levels, and to make such a crucial error in my life, and I'd done that, it's just fucking actually retarded, like stupid.
But you're not the only man to fall to a woman. The biggest fall to women. That's usually man's biggest.
It's kryptonite.
Mistake. Yeah.
Kryptonite, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
so that sweet puss.
Yeah, but fuck, man, there's a lot of sweet pusses in a fucking middle-aged single mum. Jesus, with no money. Without sound like an egotistical dickhead, there's a lot more without the baggage. But I was trying to date someone I thought would be mature on my own level. She was entrepreneurship, all this bullshit. But reality was she was just a fucking trickster, So we connected, we got along, we had a great time. Things continued. This chick started showing, COVID happened, lockdown started happening, her lease ended. Silly me, like 4 months into the relationship.
You can move in with me.
You can move into the castle, baby. You want the keys to the city. Come from your little apartment and come live in a 6-bedroom waterfront estate. That's where it's at. Like in 16 weeks in army, just come into my whole world and bring your baby.
That would have been a completely different dynamic once the baby came in.
The dynamic shifted, bro. That house was a batch pad, and not even just with the women, it was just a good vibe there, It was a good vibe. I had it set up well. Let that situation in, which when fuck, man, I go from being a single male to next minute I'm an instant family with a baby that had very severe behavioral issues because of which I didn't know at the time. Just his mum she did such shit job parenting him and pulling him between so many different men before me, which I didn't know at the time. He was traumatized. He was really didn't know, and I didn't realize too, she'd lived in so many different places, and the baby had no security, and he was fucking confused himself, right? Multiple dads. He's only 12 months old, and yeah. So anyway, I took that situation on, and then once she was sort of living with me, some major red flags started happening. Sort of tried to look past that, which advice for younger men, older men, like, you need to sit with that shit, man, and kind of set a value system. Like, if somebody acts out and does something that's just so fucking bizarre and crazy, like, you need to just get rid of it. Like, especially if they're living in your house, like, just tell them, hey, we need to have some space, or this isn't going to work. Instead of just pushing it down and being like, oh, I don't want to be on my own, I don't want to go through this again. Like, oh, she might come good. Like, that. There are some things that it's like, that is just not acceptable behavior. Like, and some people that have trauma are so fucking mentally sick that they do things and don't even think that it's not that bad, but it is. You know, and that's something that I haven't done. You know, is holding my values and my self-worth above their fucking shitty behavior, and realizing, like her, you come with no money, you come with a baby, and you don't have much value, and I come with the package for you, security, you know, stability. I've got a good family that help look after the kid. Like, so many things, man. And if you're not going to value that and respect that, it's like, fucking see you later, man. like you need to go and have some space and reflect. Like,
yeah, it's just like anything else in life, really. Like, people get stuck being comfortable as well, and they're like, oh, they're just being good enough, or like they're not being bad enough for me to leave, or like they're just doing enough things for me to hang on. Just like the same, like with the job. I was listening to something today, and they were saying the people that are in like the average, like to do the average jobs, and they're just okay, and they're scraping by, everything's all right, it's just enough. Their boss might give them an incentive every now and then, but like they don't like their job and stuff. They hang on because it's just enough. They're comfortable, you know what I mean? And then the people that have got it really shit, they've got the sort of the incentive to get up and do something about it. And that's what women are perfect at doing. That they're perfect at keeping you comfortable.
yeah, no, for sure. Because as they say, like, feed a man, fuck a man, and like he's, you know, give him food and give him constant sex, and all his dreams will go out the window. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's a true sense. Because at the end of the day, we all want companionship. We all want love. You know, and it's not a bad thing, like, because it can in the other side of the you know, that it can actually make you excel dramatically in your life if you are actually, you know, got deep connection and deep love, because then you can focus on the things that you know, help you progress in business and life. So then COVID obviously begins. Shit starts getting pretty fucking real for all of us. Owning a business that is customer to customer related, and having to go into people's homes and spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars with my company. You know, the world was ending in March, April. So not only I just met this woman, she had nothing, she had a child, I took them into my world, started carrying them both financially and emotionally, dealing with a new relationship, a baby. COVID hits. The company I've owned for many years, which was making fucking exponential money, the boat starts getting rocked there. So I'm managing her, managing the baby, managing the business, managing the finances, managing the staff.
Is she working?
No, didn't work. So I lived on government money from her ex-partner, and she was getting money from Isogenics, but not as much as she made out she was getting. So she got enough that she could pay her own sort of basic necessities, but I was paying for all the food, you know, the living costs, things like that, and all the lifestyle shit that I was already doing before her. She got to jump on board with, right, where we were eating out and the hotels and the Airbnbs and the bullshit that come with my lifestyle, and rolling around with me. So
you're going to be shocked when you find a woman that starts doing that shit for you. You're going to fall in love in 2 seconds.
Well, it's just the non-negotiable now, and it's not even that she needs to be some balling multi-millionaire. It's just actually meeting someone that does something nice for me.
Yeah.
And goes, fuck, I'm so lucky to have an honest, great, hardworking man that loves me and protects me and would do anything for me, that I'm going to just do nice shit for him. Like maybe coming home and they bought you something nice, or take you on a date, or tells you come home and they just fucking respect you, bro. Like, yeah. Not this, like, I'm a hot chick and I'm entitled. It's like, it's just there's some crazy behavior that goes on out there that it's like, I've got a pussy and you're having sex with me, so you got to give me everything.
I hope you've well and truly learned your lesson this time. And now you got me, bro. If I see you with some fucking scumbag, I'll be on your back.
Well, it just comes down to now I'm doing the work again, right? And even though I probably didn't need to, I still am willing to grow. I'm willing to look at myself, willing to get better, willing to get more honest with what I need and what I want and what I deserve, and basically non-negotiables now, and obviously these women that try and chat to me and whatever, if they've got children, no, again, no bad feelings or hard feelings to them, but I now know that doesn't work for me. I want my family, and I'm going to build my own family. I'm not going to share my kid with someone. I'm not going to.
You've had a lot of dramas in that aspect.
Like, I want a family that's a unit, and we roll together as a team, and we're going to have an amazing life. We're going to travel. I'm going to teach them how to snowboard. My hard work is going to benefit them, and I'm going to have someone that supports me for that, and I'm going to attract that. And I know that there's going to be a great woman that's probably been with some dickhead herself, and she's 28, 30 years old, hasn't been married, has no kids, and she's meets someone like me, and she's like, fuck me, how blessed and lucky I am to just have a decent, hardworking man that's honest and loyal, and lives a lifestyle that's not the average, and willing to like live life to the fullest and have an amazing,
So
I'm going to be an incredible dad. I've done it twice.
So when did you start getting into the Tesla stations, doing all that stuff?
So Tesla, the reason I got passionate about that was after reading Elon Musk's book, and I'd already started shifting the business into the renewable energies. So then I came up with a plan that I seen they used to sell the cars in the shopping center. So I went up to one of those sales reps and I got them to put me on a test drive at Tesla. I gave them my details, and at this stage they didn't know that I was prospecting them. They thought they were prospecting me. So I had a plan to get in front of management and tell them who I was and what I wanted. So they got me into the Valley, Brisbane, Tesla dealership, and I test drove a Tesla, which was fucking cool, man. Those cars are cool. This is like 4 years ago now, maybe 3, I can't remember. But then they did the test drive thing, and then they invited me to a track day because they kind of learned a bit about me, and they invited me to a special track day where they put the Teslas on a aircraft runway on the Gold Coast. So I got invited to that, and then I started networking with some pretty cool people. Told them what I did.
How do you exactly get invited to that? What, did you just go for a test drive and then you started speaking to the dude?
Yeah. So I just told him that I owned a company. I was in the renewable energy space. Obviously, I was passionate about reading, like really passionate about Elon Musk. Loved his direction. Loved what he was about.
What did they want from you? Obviously, they thought they could get something from you.
Buy a Tesla or two.
Oh yeah.
That's all. This whole purpose is just to realize, okay, well, this guy owns a company. He's passionate about renewable energies. He loves Elon Musk. He's a Tesla fanboy, and he's got the finances to purchase this $200,000 car. So how do you do that? You get a bit creative. They had track day, and they invited people that they had prospected themselves. Again, they didn't realize that I was prospecting them this whole entire time, plus prospecting all the people that were at the track day, because who's at the track day? Everyone that owns a Tesla, who's buying another Tesla, who has money. 2, they are into renewable energies and they need electric car chargers put in. So what do? I do solar, and I do fucking electric car charging, and these people, they're the people to network with. So
how many people did you meet there?
There was probably like 30, I reckon, would have been there, and I like gave them all my business card, connected with them, told them what I did.
How do you be so smart and then be so dumb when it comes to women?
Bro, like, this is what fucks with my head. How can I be so intellectually intelligent and smart on strategies on how I do things with business and money, and that are so out the box? Look at what I'm saying. Like, I fucking started in a shopping center talking to someone about a car, then got put in a test at the Valley dealership, to then get personally invited to a track day with all these rich people. Like, and exactly this is the thing. And then I make these crucial errors. Like, my ex was fucking black and white that she had a fucking child and nothing to her name, and like I was completely set up, and the only thing she brought was fun, and and I thought she was an entrepreneur and all these things. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of those things aligned, so I gave it a chance and I gave it an opportunity because I thought it was going to be it, but and she was great in a lot of ways, don't get me wrong. I didn't just date a loser,
Yeah.
but
It's sort of like drugs and alcohol. They're like, you have so much fun with them, and they bring value when you want them, in the things you want them to, but at the end of the day, they're fucking completely useless.
well, this is what happens, bro, is when you get older, man, like not even older, life isn't easy, man, and you need someone that's in your fucking corner, bro. Not You need someone that's gonna, you both fill each other's cup. Sometimes it could be emotionally, sometimes it could be financially, but fuck, when I was having someone just like literally drilling holes in my cup and letting the fucking water out and just watching it, like, like I said, I'm fighting for life at this stage with my business. We're in fucking COVID lockdowns. I had a company that, I had to shift quickly to continue to survive. Like,
Yeah.
I had to use all my fucking 20 years of business experience to make sure my company did not go fucking down the toilet like thousands did. Like, if I didn't have strength, tenacity, years of business experience, my company would be fucking gone with the rest of them.
So what happened after you met all these people at the track and you gave them your card?
Yeah, so we did that, and then it took 2 years. So at this stage, I started to meet some managers at the track and stuff. So I knew by going to that track day that there would have been high level Tesla people there. So I connected with them with their email address, told them what my plan was, that I wanted to be a battery installer and electric car charger with my business. And it took me 2 years of following up with management, of emailing people and saying, hey, where's this at? Like, I really want to do this. And it took 2 years to get through to the people that made decisions in California to qualify my business to be a certified purchaser and installer of their product, to be matched and be able to advertise and say that I'm partnered with them.
So it's not an easy thing to get into.
No, you got to think Tesla's the biggest company in the world right now. Now, back then they were big, but now they're literally the biggest brand on the planet. And
what did you have to do to?
I had to qualify. I had to qualify through some exams, and I had to qualify through. They went through my website, which the funny thing was is I had law of attraction so much to be a Tesla installer that my website, if you look at it, the first image, it has their battery on the wall on the house, and I had never done one. I just got the guy to put it in there, and fucking, so then when they checked my website and that, they were like, it was so high level, and it already had one of their batteries in the picture that I got edited in.
You didn't even do it.
No, I hadn't even done it. I knew I was going to get it, you know what I mean? So
are they difficult and to install? You obviously would have had to train people up to do that after.
They're very technical, very technical. The issue we have is they're the most expensive on the market. They're $18,000, so they're very hard to sell. Next issue we're having now is there's a 4-month wait, so we don't even advertise about it at the moment. So it's a bit of a shame. I've jumped the story, but yeah, it's a lot of work went into it, and unfortunately, the supply chain issues, and because American dollars so shit to ours, they're just so fucking expensive. So It's a bit of a shame, because if they were around sort of 10, 12,000, we'd pump them out like hotcakes, or if they had the supply chain fixed.
Yeah, and obviously you want to obviously make a little bit of fucking cheese on top of it.
Not only a lot, man, because listen to the story, just to be able to put that shit in, man, and not only just put their brand in.
There's obviously not a lot of people doing it, putting them in either. So you obviously don't have a lot of competition.
No, when I was doing them, it was only me and 2 other companies in the whole of Brisbane and Gold Coast that were allowed to do it. So it was a niche market. So, yeah, so we got that. Where do you want to go from that story? So we did all that, and then obviously COVID started to really kick in. I got creative in the beginning and went to the suppliers because they puckered up and no one in March, April was purchasing. So their sales fell off the cliff, and I put my dick on the line and went to one of my major suppliers, air conditioning suppliers, and I bought a fucking truckload of air conditioners at a crazy discount, and basically don't even know why I thought to do that or how, because the world was ending in April 2020. It looked like we were all fucked, basically. I, for some crazy reason, cut this crazy deal, got a mad discount. I built a Facebook ad around this. I called it the Great Wall of Aircons. I built a wall behind me, got a videographer in, and stood there in front of this giant wall of aircons and made a deal saying, hey, basically the world's ending, but I'm here to save you with air conditioning. And because I got such a good deal on the buy price, I offered a best deal fucking out there and offered $500 discounts on every single system until I sold out, and dropped this fucking Facebook ad. And then before I knew it, the government started giving people their super and fucking stimulus money. Lo and behold, who's running a fucking mad deal right now? And they're all sitting at home sweating, or they're freezing, but it's starting to get cold. So we fucking started pumping, man. We started pumping and doing record numbers when COVID was. So then the world.
There's a lot of luck in some of these things. You seem to be at the right place at the right time.
Sometimes, but it's not just luck; it's tenacity too, and it's
I'm not taking it away from you.
Yeah, no, it's kind of knowing in yourself, knowing your ability. Like, so me being confident, then I'm going to buy that many, I'm going to sell that many, no matter what.
And taking opportunities when they're there.
Yeah, so I took an opportunity you don't very often, well, you don't ever get the opportunity to have your supplier backed into the corner because they got to meet KPIs, and they thought their lives were over and they're going to lose their jobs. And having someone like me come in and go, yeah, I want 40 grand's worth of shit and here's the money, whatever, like, you know. So I kind of got that. And yeah, so there's probably that, but it comes down to believing in yourself and believing in what anything's possible. And no matter how fucked up things are, you're going to be able to work it out, you know. So then that began that. And then we were fucking cranking. Life was good again.
You're still doing solar as well?
Yeah, we still did solar as well. Solar was always our sort of go-to, and then we got into the air conditioning market quite heavily because.
What are your thoughts on that? Is that definitely, because I want to get solar for my house, and I'd like to get some info or some.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll run away on time. I've got to jump off the phone at some stage. So then we did that. Obviously, all the stimulus money came, and we started doing record numbers. Like, we were fucking crushing it, you know. Like, so then I'm like, this is great. COVID was happening. We were classed as an essential service, being electrical, so we weren't restricted on movement. We were allowed to go into people's homes. People were sitting at home. They had money, so then they started spending on renovations with air conditioning. When they inquired about air conditioning, I'm like, oh, your power's going to go up, so we should pair it with solar. We do solar. So then we started double dipping on these homes on a big scale, you know. Life was good. Lockdowns happened. Without going into it too much, I never believed in the whole thing because I had friends in America. I was hearing from the ground over there what was actually happening. I knew it was a bit of a hoax and a load of fucking bullshit. So I never got involved in it, never believed in it. When the major lockdowns were happening, I was going and staying in the most high-end Airbnbs because they were empty and living in these places for fucking nothing. So I continued to spend money because my business was making. I didn't predict or didn't know what was going to come ahead, but I thought, oh, fucking, we're killing it. So I kept balling like I was going to continue making all this fucking exuberant money. So my lifestyle was matching that still with the fucking places I was taking this chick, you know, and so she was again riding the wave. And then shit started getting worse, right? As we all know, like, then inflation started creeping like cancer, like slowly creeping. Then I had issues I started having some lawsuits in the business around some of the supply chain companies that were doing wrong by me. So I started having a lawsuit started there, my first lawsuit, and realizing how fucking wide open I was to litigation, like we were talking about before, having everything in my personal name. So I had my first lawsuit. since having the company. Then I had some staffing issues. I had some lawsuits there with one of the staff. Then I crashed one of the work cars, fucking wasn't insured. So then I had a third lawsuit there. Then obviously I was still at this stage then raising a toddler, which was fucking terrible and horrible. Like, even if it's your own kid, tantrum, screaming, basically, while you've got a child, you fucking have to be home at 6 o'clock every night to put them to bed, and then sit there like a fucking prisoner in your own home. You can't go anywhere because there's a baby sleeping upstairs, which I did for hundreds of days and weekends on end with my girlfriend, because I fucking loved her and sacrificed a lot of my happiness and freedom, because at this stage I couldn't travel then, which was my happiness. I had a child. I couldn't go where I wanted when I wanted because I was supporting her. We had his stepfather was a fucking flake and would only see him whenever he sort of felt like it. So that was a pain in the ass. So I've got lawsuits. I've got a fucking toddler. I've got an ex that wasn't contributing. I've got a business that's now getting attacked that I'd worked so hard to get, and I was trying so hard to fix that. So I just had fucking like pressure, man, like fucking pressure like no other, that was slowly eroding me as a man, like emotionally, physically, financially. I was getting attacked from all angles, and I didn't have someone that was helping me or supporting me. They were fucking hindering me. So that slowly started breaking me down. It broke me the fuck down over a period of time. To then I had another lawsuit again in 2021. So I'm at fucking I've been sued 4 times by this stage. Shitloads of money.
What exactly for?
I won't go into it too much, but just legalities in the business with suppliers. One with an employee that I had to sack because he was stealing from the company, invoicing me for fucking jobs he wasn't at and stuff like that. So I had to fire him, and then we withheld money. I had to fire one of my apprentices. So then, typical fucking people, you fire them, and then they get lawyers involved trying to get money out of you. The thing I noticed is the more moves you make and the bigger you get, you start having fucking people coming for you, and the more like the famous saying goes,
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems, because then you start doing well. And not only that, I find, because, I started interacting with so many humans, that you're going to have problems. You're interacting with hundreds of humans and dealing with so many people. And because I was such that type of person, I would try and battle with these people like clients or whatever, and they take the piss. But I've learned to let go of that a bit now and kind of control who I'll battle with and who I won't. Because most people are fucking no one, nothing. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Takeaways from the legal and lawsuits, though, with some positives. I learn a lot about asset protection. I learn a lot about having a good fucking lawyer for personal and business. I learn a lot about how the legal system works with courts and with people suing you and things. So there's a lot of positives there, with staff, with contracts with them. So there's a lot came out of those lawsuits that are now going to protect me for the rest of my life. So I'm kind of glad I went through that, because I didn't lose, it cost me whatever it did, but it's not, once I get older and really wealthy, then I'm not going to lose millions of dollars,
Yeah.
Because I didn't know
glad you made those mistakes when you
glad those mistakes come now while I was small, you know what I mean? Because fucking now I've set up things that will protect me for my future. I've done those things with protecting myself. So, we're going through COVID like everyone else. We can't travel. We can't do all these things I love. I'm dealing with fucking a toddler. I'm dealing with her. I've got no real support. I then start to think, well, she wanted to get into lashes and things like that. So I start helping her build an entire other fucking business while still running mine, which is getting attacked. And because in my head, I'm like, I'll build this chick up. And then it's going to help me as a fucking family. It's going to help. Let's get her making money. She's not retarded. She's fucking actually, pretty good at if she puts her mind to something. So I'm fucking now running my business whilst helping pay for her lash training, which is thousands. Then she wanted to do cosmetic tattooing, it's fucking thousands. So who do you think's paying for that? I'm paying for that. I'm buying her all the stuff to set up the thing. I'm using all my business skills with setting up the accountant, setting up the bank, fucking like all the stuff that you don't know anything about that takes years to know. I could cookie cutter into a whole nother business and fire it up like that, because it's all the same systems. A business is a business. The systems are the same. Then I use my marketing skills to fucking brand her, market her on Facebook. So I got her pumping quickly whilst investing all that money into her and her business, my business was fucking getting destroyed. By this stage, inflation, my product had gone up 100%. You know, an example, a cable drum was $100 pre-COVID. It was $200 at the end. So 100% increase. My staff were a certain amount. They'd gone up 40% on their hourly rate. Customers were not fucking taking the quotes at even fucking 20% more on what it was pre-COVID. So there's about a 6-month period where the business just had to hemorrhage cash. And if you didn't have money to deposit and keep the business afloat, that was it. So I'm dealing with that whilst paying $1,500 a week rent at the fucking house at Hope Island, whilst paying her business, supporting her, still continue to live this high life because I thought I could fix it, because I always could fix it. I wasn't fixing it. I wasn't fixing inflation. I wasn't fixing that my business wasn't the business it was pre-COVID with the margins. And I just let that run away from me. And then it really started to fucking stress me out because I was burning money like no one could imagine, you know, and no matter how much money you got, if you got fucking tens of thousands going out more than coming in, it's only a matter of time before that goes down to fucking these ones. So my chick at the time started to actually make decent money because I fucking helped her, branded her. She started making, you know, she charges $300 to $400 a tattoo. She started cranking, and then I was like, fuck, you know, can you fucking help out now? You know what I mean? Like 2 years of me carrying you, like, and your kids, like. And she's like, oh, it's not a part of our agreement, and didn't want to step up, didn't want to help. And that's when she had done things in the past and I didn't go into it, but we had a lot of shit. She showed me she was fucking nuts and she's just a bitch and just like a user and just there. And then when she did that, I was just like, you're fucked. Like, you're willing to ride my wave for years on end and all I've done is help you. And then now that like all I'm saying is like, let's be a team and try and help out a bit, whether you pay for the groceries or whatever that is, or contribute a bit more to this $1,500 a week fucking house. And the woman that I loved and cared about basically looks at me and says, fuck off. And that's when I just was, that was like, I was like, fuck you. You know, you want to fucking act and treat me like that, and you show me how much you'll just use me and shit on me. Like, I'll show you how quickly what it's like to not have this whole fucking world in your world anymore. You know what I mean? That's when I started getting angry about the situation, you know, and it's like, at a birthday, I bought her fucking like $900 worth of clothes, give it to her, and she's like, I wanted fucking Louis Vuitton. You don't even know me. And I just, this is towards the end of our relationship, and I just, in my head, I'm just picturing I'm thinking, how do I get out of here now? Like, this has just gotten beyond a joke. Like, this person is fucked. This human is just so lost and so, you know, like, what a selfish bitch to just like fucking use me, come into my world and have such a like good time with that, and watch me get brought down to nothing. And when I needed her, didn't even give a fuck, and then just say comments like that when I'm still trying to buy her incredible shit when I shouldn't even have spent $1 really. And to say like shit like that and fucking, oh yeah, you should have bought me Louis Vuitton, you fucking. And then I'm thinking, man, you were fucking from the street when I met you. Like now you think you need, because you've been living in these $3 million homes, you think you need Louis Vuitton. Like, I created a bit of a monster, I think.
Yeah.
And then when she sort of got wind that it was going south, she started getting fucking dangerously savage. She started doing things and recording me and provoking me to then try and claim domestic violence. So good old DV against guys, you can raise your voice at these women and they can record you and call the police, and who do you think gets arrested? You do. So not only have I done so much for this woman, I've helped her raise her kid, I've given her a business, I've created her to even be worth something to this world. And I'm now at the lowest I am emotionally and financially, because I'm obviously had COVID and her and the situation for 2.5 years just draining me slowly, you know, to the point of we missed a crucial part in this. My fucking dog, which I had for 10 fucking years, which was like my rock, fucking died, like got sick and died suddenly, like at the end of 2021. That was like after I'd been sued fucking 5 times. The business is struggling. I'm dealing with her bullshit, dealing with the kid, my fucking dog, like my fucking best mate.
Fuck.
and that fucking happens. And then, you know, then the final, obviously, now in the coffin is the shit that starts to happen with me and her. And then when I wanted to pull the trigger on getting out of the situation, and I probably just needed space from it, you know, this fucking bitch starts recording me and threatening domestic violence and doing all these things and using the system against me, and basically then starts like communicating with other guys, and she'd been doing that before. She's a fucking liar and a cheater and just a user, just always looking for the next free ride. Can't look after herself, and starts doing that. Next minute, removalists come to my house. She didn't own anything in the property, and basically says at 10 o'clock the night before, "Oh, fucking removalists are coming tomorrow. They just, you know, randomly organised this, and I want to take some stuff." And I said, "Well, we need to go to court. If you want it, it's all mine. We got, you know, or if you want some things, just give me a bit of money. Like, if you want that $5,000 couch, give me $400. No, well, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to take what I want." So this is this fucking cunt. Sorry, because this is probably going to go. This is this bitch that knows that I had been fucked over 8 years before with losing my son, losing this chick tried to sue me for my house. I'm now losing. We're going to break up. I'm losing her. I'm losing a child again now because I bonded with the kid. And I'd given her everything, love, everything, you know, fucking. And she tells me that someone's going to come tomorrow and they're going to be walking around your house and I'm going to be picking off what I want. And if you don't like it, we're going to call the police. And
fucking epic, dude.
And
I'm going to give you a hug.
Bro, it's just so fucked up and disgusting, and just disgusting human behavior from, you know, a person. Just because I'm rejecting you, you think you're gonna fucking destroy my world, slit my throat, play on my insecurities about police and fucking trauma around that, take my stuff because I got trauma around that because I've had to do this before, take the kid, which I've had to do before, and have no empathy or no fucking reflection of like, I wonder why we're breaking up. I wonder why we're separating. I wonder if I should try and fix it. I wonder if I should try and look at the whole relationship and realize what this man's done with me. Instead, as I found out later on, this particular woman, before I'd met her, had 3 or 4 dads in that 12-month period. She'd left the other guy, has a story about every one of them. It's just what she does, you know. So removalists come, they picking off my shit. We agreed on a few things. I'm in my office and the removalists don't know what to take. I hear this bitch. Oh, what about that? Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, it starts fucking adding. Starts adding more shit to the list. So then I come out, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we've agreed on things, you're not taking any more. Again, she's trying to set me up in front of the removalists, play the little 50-kilo innocent blonde girl, provoking me so she's got witnesses. Because, of course, who's not going to get fucked off? You're watching tens of thousands of dollars worth of shit getting walked out the door. Like, this person come with a trailer, and I said to the removalist, I'm like, this bitch come with a trailer and she's leaving with a truck. Like, you know. So then she does all this. Oh, man. So I give her all this stuff. As soon as she leaves, she thinks she's still going to come and go as she pleases in this property. Lucky enough, I'd been through this before. I knew to change the fucking locks, because once you get them out, then you get the power. So as soon as she left, I called the locksmith, changed the locks on this bitch so she could never get in that house again and get any more of my fucking stuff. And the day after she had left and I changed the locks, I get a random email from the fucking real estate saying, hey, we've had a domestic violence claim against you at the property from your partner, saying that you're abusing her and her child. What the fuck's going on?
The fuck?
So this fucking little bitch, this using fucking cheeky bitch that just has no empathy, uses men, lies, cheats. I've given her the world. got her kid to a point of being nearly 4 years old, and he was easy to deal with compared to how when he came to me, he was traumatized and so difficult. Puts a domestic violence claim on me, and you know why she did it? Because the law during COVID had come out that a woman could claim domestic violence and vacate the property in 7 days and have no legal responsibility to the bond cleaned, to paying any rent. There was still 4 weeks left on the lease, so it's $6,000 left to pay for 4 weeks. So she used me, threw me down the fucking toilet in my name, saying I was an abuser. So one, she could get the bond, which was never hers, which was $6,000, and fucking not pay any rent, not pay any water, and not pay any bond clean, and leave me with the fucking shit heap to deal with.
How the fuck did she get the bond?
So this woman, when we moved into that mansion, I fucking sent her to get the keys with $6,000 in fold of my money, and she put her name against it without me fucking knowing when she collected the
Well,
keys.
you were already in the house though, weren't you?
No, this is when we moved to Hope Island, and I missed that part of the story. We left the big mansion down here in Brisbane, and we moved to Hope Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were down there and on the Gold Coast. So then here's me already dealing with my head spinning. I'm devastated. This woman's now telling strangers that I'm abusing her. Had a fake doctor's note, all this bullshit. And now, lucky enough for me, I sort of knew not to engage with the real estate about it. I ignored it and said, hey, everything will get paid for at the property. I just focused on the money. That's all they want to know. They're going to get paid, right? So I had to then wrap up this entire place on my own. She didn't help pay for cleaning, electricity, gas. It cost me another, just for the bond, clean, electricity, gas, and all that. It was another $4,000 to wrap it up, to finalize the house. My family and friends were helping, do all this while I was fucking devastated. Then, lucky enough for me, the real estate agent was a lady, and she kind of smelt a rat with this girl. She smelt a rat that she knew me and knew that who was paying, which was me, and she knew that something was up. So she challenged her on her claim. Didn't give her the money. She said, hey, you need more evidence. And she didn't say she didn't believe you, but she knew that this narcissistic bitch was trying to fuck me over. And long story short, we ended up in court over this. It took 4 months after we split, of going all the way through the system. They tried to negotiate with her. She's like, nah, I want the money. It's my money. I ended up having to go to fucking court in front of a judge 4 months after breaking up with her to tell them the story. And the judge to look at me and be like, yeah, we can see who's fucking full of shit here.
So she full went there and just talked out her ass and said that it was her money.
She basically went there and said that she had to vacate the property immediately. I was abusive. I was abusive to her. I was abusive to her son. She was threatened. She couldn't stay there, and that she had to vacate the property, and she wants half of the bond, which was because my name was on the bond as well. And lucky enough, the judge, again, seen that she was full of fucking shit, asked me some questions, character referenced me, could see what was going on, which is so lucky, because usually in DV claims, they just be like, oh, young dude, tattooed, whatever, you're the fucking perpetrator, So then the judge ended up giving her some of it, and then I still had to pay the real estate like fucking another $2,000. So I lost thousands there, thousands to finish it up. I had to do it all on my own. All my family and friends helped, but all on my own without her having to fucking bond clean and do all this shit that she should have done. While she fucking took half my shit as well, which I thought would have made her happy. And then, yeah, since then, fucking my life's just been in fucking survival mode for the last 6 months. I've been in survival mode.
So after all this shit, or even just, when did you start getting into personal development?
Well, I was already.
I don't want to talk about that bitch anymore.
I was already, yeah, straight up. I just wanted to paint a good picture if she ever listens to it, so she can see what I think of her. So then I started doing some of the retreats and stuff like that, but that was kind of probably 4 months after it, because I went to California again. I went to New Zealand on a couple of trips just to try and clear my head, but I wasn't in a good mental space. So I've pretty much just been working on my mental health and fucking physical health. I stopped drinking. I don't do drugs. I don't even drink coffee anymore. And I've just been working on myself for the last 6 months straight to trying to get my head straight, because I was just so devastated that this even happened again and that I allowed it, and I've got to rebuild my whole life again.
Did someone like point you in the direction of doing personal development, or?
I was just in the right circles, and they could see I needed it, and people were offering me places to go.
Yeah.
So some friends offered, and I went to one. I went to one retreat in Byron, and then I went to another one in Byron, and then I went to one in the hinterland. So I've done 3 in the last 6 months. I'm doing another one next weekend. So I would have done 4 in 6 months. And then because I've always learned, like, you just got to keep connecting with the right people, and I've got a strong mindset, and I know that everything's going to work out again. But like this situation, what happened with her and the business, like, it really fucked me up this time. Fucked me up more than I thought it was gonna. Like, when I broke up with her, I thought I was gonna be really happy, because I was like, she was such a headache and the kid was such a headache, that I thought, oh well, I'll meet another girl and I'm gonna be so much happier, which I will, obviously, in the long run. But it actually fucked me up way more.
Just
emotion.
In the fact that it had happened again, or
yeah. I was
like,
just
how did you let yourself do that?
Yeah. How did I let someone that brought so much, like, not value and so many things, like, fuck, man, I was doing well emotionally and financially, and COVID was always going to happen. But like my mum says, and people say, and I even say, she was a COVID girlfriend. I couldn't travel. There was lockdowns. I had someone to hang out with and hike and hook up with, and she served her purpose, where now I can travel again and do all those things. But yeah, no, really, exactly that, the reflection of how the fuck did I get here again, and how the fuck did I allow this 10 years after this had happened, and I took 10 years to rebuild to that point of thinking that I had it worked out, to then feel like I was, back at my fucking parents again. I was living in a $3 million house for the last 6 years, and it's like, I lost my living situation. I lost so much of my financial identity, and I lost my partner, and I lost a child again. And I'm like, this is fucked. And it's not even for a great woman. It's for a piece of shit. It's like, at least if it was for someone amazing, you'd be like, fucking worth it. But then you're like, man, like, I lost it for someone that brought fucking what to my life? A headache.
Yeah, not one of them were like, oh, we just fell out of love or something. They were all like extreme.
No, extreme. Instances. Yeah, it was extreme circumstances. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Where it was fucking just this extreme shit they did, and then I had to do extreme moves of kicking them out, and because it got that toxic, And like you said, it's just so stupid, because I'm not a stupid guy, but it's just so weird that I let low level women, which is your most intimate situation and which affects you the most, either good or bad, into my world, which now I need to analyze that. And now I am older, I'm 37, and I don't have the time to fuck around anymore. But I've shifted my perspective on it, and I'm like, I've gotten a third chance again to really do it right now, and not make these mistakes again, and I know that I'll be really happy in a couple of years' time, and I'll marry some chick, and we'll have a kid, and business is going to be killing it, and all these lessons I learned are going to be for the greater good. I've got a lot of life to live still, man, so I'm positive, I'm optimistic, and and I'm looking forward to getting everything I deserve and some.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that you haven't been like, you're still willing to, like, I've been in relationships where, like, after I'm like, I was hurt, and then I've been like, fuck this, I'm not fucking getting in a relationship for a long time. And you seem to still be thinking, like, you're in the positive, like, you're thinking about, you're still willing to get in a relationship.
You don't want to because at the end of the day, the only reason I ended up there was because of my choices of person, and instead of analyzing it a bit more, and what this brings is, a lot of it comes down to, you don't want to be on your own. Fuck, it's all it is. You just want someone to hang out with and hook up with, and companionship. Where I've had to sit on my own again and get comfortable. And as soon as you're comfortable independently, like, you're a dangerous person. Because if you're comfortably on your own and you're financially independent and emotionally independent, well, who do you really need? So it's not like that I'm meeting a girl because I need her. It's because I want her. So that's the strong position. That's the type of woman I want. Not that sees
That's
me
when you
as-
really start attracting women, is when you're in those positions.
Yeah, well, because then
you
it's
get
like
all of them, not just good women. You get bad women coming. You get crazy women.
for sure. Because it's like, don't get me wrong. Like I have that moment of like wanting to hook up with all these women again and do all that stuff. But you know, I have been pretty good at not doing that this time. I'm just trying to work on myself. But it's basically, you know, you don't want to then be bitter and shut off to it, because then I will miss opportunities with great women. But this has given me the opportunity to work on myself again, and each time I'm getting better. You know, I'm learning and I'm getting better, and it's all going to come into fruition when I do have that partner and my own family, because by then I'm a great strong man, I'm a great father, I'm a great husband, and I'm a great provider, because I'm doing the fucking work, you know. And I've been to the depths of fucking hell, and then I've also been to the depths of hell of probably working on things with my partner, where before I was younger, I was ego driven. Even with these girls, I was like, well, I've always had every girl I want and I get what I want, so I don't give a fuck. If you're shit, I'll just get another one, you know. Where now I'm like, I'd probably work on things a little bit differently, you know. With a good woman, I won't just have that attitude like, I'll just get rid of you and get another one.
Yeah, man. Well, your attitude is admirable, man.
Thanks, bro. It's a crazy story, man. Like, it's fucking wild. My story is wild. Like, it's
yeah. I couldn't imagine going through that. Well, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, 3 times, man. Like, definitely, that's the first one was more like the one I loved the most, and that hurt probably the most emotionally, like, well, love wise. But then, yeah, the other ones were traumatic, you know, like just disgusting behavior from both of the last ones. You know, they're just such shitty women.
Yeah, we'll just keep looking within, man. Just keep doing that work on yourself, and then you'll attract that perfect woman, like you said. Keep writing those things down, and just manifest.
Man,
manifest.
And that's the thing. Like, obviously, I'm moving into my new place on the coast next week, and that's a part of the journey, you know. And now I'll move quickly. I'll be involved in a lot of positive groups, and things is going to happen, and we'll be having this conversation in 12 months and saying how great life is and things are fucking amazing. And I can't wait, you know. I can't wait to. And then that's what this story's about, showing people, man, like, life can be a fucking peaks and valleys, man. And sometimes the valleys are a bit longer than you want them to be. And this time it's been longer than I wanted it to be, because I sort of took a bit of a mental health dip, which I've never had before. I wasn't in control of my thoughts. I've never had that. And just, yeah, trials and tribulations. But my advice is to people is to never give up, always be passionate, you know, follow what you truly desire, but really value yourself, and don't let any motherfucker in that's going to just take from you and not give, you know. Really, not just women, like relationships with friends, family, like, you know, who the fuck's in your corner and who's going to cheer for you, you know, even when you don't have anything. Like, who's there for you and who's not. And especially when you're choosing women, like, don't just think with your dick. Don't be like, oh, this is great sex and fucking we're having fun. Like, actually look deeper than that and look at what family she comes from, look at her upbringing, look at her past relationships, and don't obviously believe that, because most of them lie about why they broke up. It's always the guy's fault. But, you know,
a lot of men can't do that.
You know,
a lot of men can't look past the superficial things.
I think that comes down to experience, and people haven't done the work on themselves as well, right? You know, I can only speak like this because I'm 37 and listen to, you know, this podcast is now giving a little snippet of my life. And like, shit, like, fuck, man, when this first happened to me with the first kid, I could have took the road of destruction and drugs and fuck the world and fuck every bitch and this and that. But, you know, I've got to take my hat off to myself. I took the road of growth. I took the road of better. I took the road of, I knew that things were gonna fucking, you know. And unfortunately, I don't know why the fuck I had to go through this again. I'm not really sure. I thought I'd had my lesson. You know, I didn't really need another one, and it's really fucking hurt this time. But I'm 37. I'm fucking strong, and I've got the ability to recreate and really have an amazing life. And fuck, I keep saying I'm 37. Shit, I've got fucking 40, 50 years of life. So
yeah. Oh, dude, life's all about ups and downs, dude. Like, you can't have all up, otherwise you won't You won't appreciate it. And so you come down, and it sucks. It sucks that what's happened to you, but as long as just don't let it happen again, man. So,
Definitely not. Definitely not.
there's yeah. It must be sort of a little bit exciting as well, though, to know that because when you're on top, there's only one place you can go is go down, man. And so
it's exciting in the sense that, like me in the last one, we were trying to have a kid and shit, and she just, lucky enough, she is not able to fall pregnant for some reason. So it's the gods were looking out for me. The gods were looking out for me. So I'm taking it as an opportunity because, like I said, it's talking about it like shit. I'm successful. Fucking, I've got my shit together, and the whole world now is my oyster of business, relationships, whatever. I'm not location dependent. Like, I look at it like an opportunity. That's not many guys get given that again, because most guys do have children to women, and they don't actually then have the ability to be like, well, I'm going to go live here. I'm going to move there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They're dictated to by their ex when they got to pick up, drop off, go to school. They don't actually have that opportunity. I truly have the opportunity to create the exact life on all levels of living, relationship, having my own kids, having that dialed in, and having like the most amazing future now, and not having a broken home and not having all this shit. And that's exciting,
Yeah. But now, after all of those lessons, after all the work that you've done, all the businesses you've started, all the fucked up relationships you've had, now you can sit back and go, all right, the next woman that I get, I know exactly what I want. I know what I want from her, and I know the family life that I'd like to have. And now, from all the things you've learned from the businesses, it's time you can pretty much got a clean slate, and you can create what you want now, and it's going to be exciting to watch, man.
100%, bro. And I appreciate your time. Let's wrap this up. And that was my first podcast of my life, so I appreciate you being interested and listening to as a lot of hours. But
yeah, dude.
You probably
No, it
didn't
was sick
expect it
though.
to be such a wild ride.
Oh man, I didn't know what to expect, dude. But I'm just stoked that you really opened up there and told us your story. And I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of info and a lot of tips just from what you've said.
Yeah. There's a lot about business, relationships, life. There's a lot in there, and that's still only a fraction, but there's
I bet that's. I'm super excited to even come when I come back to Goldie, just to have another chat just in person, just to see where you're at, and
for sure, bro.
And obviously we'll both be living on the Goldie then, so we'll be able to hang out.
Yeah, no, and we'll just dive deep into health, mindset, and money, man, and just repeat those pillars. They're the key pillars, Work on your mind, work on your health, work on your money, and just repeat that fucking process.
This is also, I just wanted to say as well, that fucking ice bath we went in at that joint?
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the first fully cold bath that I went in. And then I was like, fuck, I could only sit in there for 30 seconds, or maybe 45 seconds max.
Yeah.
My mate's got a gym up here, and I've been going there, and I've gotten to the rhythm now. I can do as long as I want now, pretty much 4 or 5 minutes, just getting into getting the breathing going.
So good.
Because when I first went in there, I probably did a minute, and then I was like, nah, I need to get out. I was like, I fucking need to get out. But then I just started doing the breathing technique, and then once you got that down pat, it's actually not that bad.
It's all in the head.
Yeah, dude. It really is.
It's powerful, man, how much it clears anxiety and everything. It's the only thing that clears my head.
Yeah. It's epic, man.
I'm going to run.
Sweet, bro. Thanks for doing this with me.
I'll look forward to putting it all together and listen to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll get it to you soon.